young or you old. Here we go. We gon' show you how it goes. To the right, to the right, to the right, to the right, to the left, to the left, to the left, to the left. Now kick, now kick, now kick, now kick. Now walk it by yourself. Now walk it by yourself.
Guys, we've got a special panel for this evening. I will introduce you guys to part of the network, which has been part of the Philadelphia crew since I moved to Philadelphia. But introductions are in order. I am the Dumble whose door is always open, Gandalf without the gray or the white because I'm all black, Jordy LaForge, captaining this enterprise in the People's Podcaster. I am Left Eye E.G.O. I am joined by the man who keeps it cooler than a polar bear's toenails. Talking about he's always keeping it chill. King Blackness himself, Justin Nice. How are you doing, sir?
What's happening?
Oh my god.
I keep it chill.
Oh my god. Guys, it's this guy right here. He's also another favorite on the podcast. It's the king of culture, the Renaissance man. dOGulas, how are you doing this evening as well, sir?
I'm hungry.
Understood.
Haven't
bro.
eaten yet. I did laundry like an adult before this. Let's talk about this movie. Then we also got another guy here. Okay, let's go.
All right. Cowtownakin. That is all. No, I'm joking. we got the real Iron Man himself. The man who's known as young Anakin Skywalker, which is a self-proclamation on his part. Mr. Home Improvement himself, Cowtownakin. How are you doing, good sir?
They still haven't made me a master. I don't know if this is ever going to happen.
This guy.
You can hang out at the council meetings. There's catering, free bar. They have sandwiches.
Damn it, I'm E.G.O. All right. So this guy, I mean, as much as I love Flash, this guy loves Iron Man just as much. Check out this man's background. If he could have this in real life, he really would. This man adores Iron Man as much as I do Flash. So
that is real life. I hope that people know watching this. That actually is.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. See, I'll stick up for you.
Good Lord, this guy. All right, yeah. So he wants to be the real life Iron Man. So, and I'm E.G.O, so we got to bring him back down to earth sometimes.
The insults about wants to be. Whatever. All right, let's keep this going. Wants to be. I'm just insulted.
Oh, man.
I'm entertained watching the younglings go at
it. Thank you. Guys, this has been I've been part of this crew since I guess 2012, 2013. Justin Ice, had me meet Doug or dOGulas, and then I think after that I met Cowtownakin. So ever since then, I mean, we've all done group birthdays, group dinners, just hanging out. This is only part of the group. The group's like 10, 11 deep at one point. So one of the things I really miss is just hanging out with these guys. So it turns out that last Friday, we all went to go see John Wick at the exact same time in 3 different theaters in 2 different states. So it was only necessary that we joined up together and gave a proper review of John Wick 4, one of my best franchises that I've ever seen. So pretty much what we're going to do is, you guys know the deal. We're going to be judging it based off of the casting, plot, pacing. We're going to talk about action factor. And if you've seen John Wick 4, if you haven't, we're letting you know up ahead of time. There are going to be lots of spoilers here, guys, because you had a week and we've held it in for a week. We got to get this out. And so in going over the spoilers, we know that there are quite a few plot holes and loops that were not closed. So we're going to talk about, in our own words, how we would fix John Wick 4, or at least talk to the network and say how they would fix it. And again, we don't do 1 to 5 stars around here. It's not proper. We do 1 to 5 egos, where we got 1 being way too humble and 5 is absolute megalomania. So with that, we're going to actually start off with just a synopsis, which Cowtownakin has graciously told us that he will do. So, sir, can you please give us a synopsis of John Wick 4 for the uninitiated?
Yes, sir. I'm gonna correct you and just make it easy. Just go with C-Town.
Out the gate.
C-Town works. Stop messing up my name. Okay.
Cowtownakin.
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 Okay. So you're doing that over.
These young Padawan
I know. No respect.
know nothing of words and sounds.
Okay. Count Chocula now? Okay, yeah. All right. We're gonna get some Count Chocula.
It's a delicious cereal.
It is. John Wick Chapter 4. So John Wick is a man of focus, commitment, and sheer will. This is the 4th installment of John Wick. First one just being named John Wick. Second John Wick movie, just John Wick 2. Third one is called Parabellum. This one also returned to having no title. So just John Wick 4. Nothing else needs to be stated. We find John Wick shortly after the events of John Wick 3. I'm sure you've seen it. If you haven't seen it, you suck. End of story. And then John Wick has fallen off a building. He's been betrayed by the former owner of the New York Continental, and he is in the trenches with the Bowery King. We find him training, getting ready to take on the table. He is no longer just after small fish. He is taking on the whole table. He's training. He's ready to go. And he starts off by killing a dude in the desert, just like we saw in John Wick 3. Takes him, knocks him out. We all saw that trailer pic of him on a horse shooting. They just got it out of the way right in the beginning, right? So pretty cool there. And then John Wick is on his mission to kill the table. In the process, the table has doubled down. They're freaking out. The table has hired, and help me out, dog. What was his name? Not a Merovingian, some kind of Merovingian French.
The monarch.
Marquis.
The Marquis. Thank you.
There you go. Birds.
Yeah,
no, butterflies.
No, those are monarchs.
Not the Maquis from DC. Not the Maquis from Star Trek. The Marquis.
Wrong show.
Yeah,
Okay.
wrong show.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So the Maquis is the table's new go-to. They have all the resources of the table, and they are after to kill John Wick. And this guy is prepared to do anything necessary to kill John Wick, no matter what it is, including blowing up the New York Continental and killing our best assistant, Lance Reddick. May he rest in peace. Guardians down. Destiny
killed him in real life.
Yeah, so he actually killed him in the movie. Really sad moment, and had a moment for Lance Reddick, seeing that he passed maybe a week before this. So he meets up with him after the Continental's been destroyed. He meets up with Winston once again. Winston's like, "Hey, where does this end? What are you doing? You're going to take on the table. There's no way you're going to win. They're just going to replace this guy when you kill him." And he comes up with the idea for single combat, right? And throughout the movie, John Wick is making his way through the necessary people from the destroyed Continental owner with Winston all the way over to Japan and seeing another Continental owner. And we get to see a cool fight scene there and opening up the violence that we're expecting to see in this 3-hour thriller.
Getting everyone he knows and loves killed in the process.
Absolutely.
Fair.
Movie,
Yeah,
that's a point I will expand on later.
Collateral Damage is the name of the game, and one of the supporting characters, I can't remember her name, but she's very hot, was telling her dad, she was hot. Don't look at me like that. She was hot.
I'm trying to remember who it was.
Rina
the daughter of the
Akira.
Yeah. The daughter of the Continental owner, right?
The Japanese, the Tokyo
one. Akira.
Yeah, there you go.
Akira.
So, her dad is honor bound to help John Wick because they're friends. You know, rules are the only things that separate us from the animals. So they have a bond with John Wick. He's at the Continental. He's hiding out. And the Marquis knows John Wick is there. So he's like, I don't care about the rules. I'm going to get John Wick. I already blew up the New York Continental. I'm going to go and attack help me out. What place was it? Japan?
Osaka.
Osaka. Thank you. Yeah.
It was run by the actor's name is Henry Sonata.
I gotcha. So Osaka
Kyokushin black belt master.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Ooh. That Continental is attacked. We'll get into some of the details of that as well. And then from there, John Wick is once again on the run, and he needs to get single combat. But he realizes, I can't challenge the table because I'm not a part of any of the families that are on the table. So he has to go back to the Mushkaroma, and he has to re-earn his status. They tore his ticket in John Wick 3 in order for him to get to the elder, the one who sits above the table. They tore that ticket. He cashed that card. He had to earn it back. And for the first time in 4 movies, you kind of think John Wick's going to die for a moment. You know he's not, but they have that moment where he's hanging and he's got to go through a lot. And he's got to fight the penguin, right? The big fat penguin with cards, right? And he's got to kill this guy to get back in with his family.
Played by Scott Atkins. Boyka. That is the most complete fighter in the world. Boyka.
He's got the gold teeth. He's fat. I can tell you, he kicks though, man.
Just like the penguin, he's got gold teeth.
Yeah, exactly, right.
He's Taekwondo expert.
Yeah,
very large. He's German, just like the penguin.
Scott Atkins is British.
Well, you know,
really
just like
British
the penguin.
inside, exactly like the penguin. That is
oh my God.
the most dead-on representation of the penguin I have ever seen in this Batman offshoot movie. Continue.
Scott Atkins should have played Batman.
Yes.
He did want to play the role, but then they gave it to Ben Affleck. Go on.
There you go.
Well-known blunder there.
I'm missing one important factor in this. The Marquis has also hired another villain at this point to help hunt down John Wick, and that's Donnie Yen, right? Another one of John Wick's friends. And this guy is as bad as John Wick, and he's blind. He's killing people with doorbells, folks. So he is
Donnie Yen.
Yes, he's awesome, and he also is conflicted about everything going on. He's John Wick's friend. He understands why he's trying to kill everyone at the table, but he also has to follow the rules, and the Marquis has given him the name John Wick, and so he is obligated to kill him, or he's going to lose his daughter, right? So
Marquis played by the creepiest Skarsgård.
Yeah, absolutely. Horrifying. So he kills the penguin, right? He kills the penguin. He makes it back into his family. Once he makes it back into his family, he is now ready to challenge the Marquis, right? And that we're going to get into in a little bit more detail, but he challenges the Marquis. They're going to meet at a particular place. We get some really cool scenes. We get some really ridiculous scenes back to back. And
Clancy Brown.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Kurgan.
Clancy Brown, his voice just gets me. We're gonna get into that too. I love Clancy Brown. I don't know what it is about him. I've got a special place for him. But duel to the death, Donnie Yen versus John Wick, and we'll get into the spoiler as we get to the end of the synopsis. And spoiler alert, last chance, he dies, or does he? We'll have to figure out and see if he does. So that's the synopsis I got for you, LJ.
It's pretty good.
That was actually
It's
pretty
valid.
good. Actually, that was spot on there. That was very solid. I mean, with that in mind, let's just go ahead and get ready to go into the ego statistics of it all. What did you guys think in terms of 1 ego to 5 egos? The casting, like anyone that particularly stood out in general that either takes it up or notch or brings it down and gives you a reason why you're giving it that ego statistic.
I'm just a nice here. I'm gonna give it 4 egos because I recognized all the top level action stars they brought in, from the head bodyguard of the monarchy, Merovingian, something with an M.
Marco Zarar.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Yeah.
Scott Atkins in that fat suit, great. Donnie Yen, incredible, always. Yeah. A lot of Henry Sonata. Like it was for a martial arts and action fan. I was glad to see all these guys in the same movie. Would have liked to have seen them do more, but it's like you got these great resources, and you got Scott Atkins. That's fine, fat suit, playing a fat guy, and then he shows off a few of his amazing Boyka.
Yeah.
Like if you've ever seen Undisputed, after Michael Jai White took over, Scott Atkins is the antagonist Boyka, most complete fighter in the world. He's got a bunch of great movies. Accident Man, fun film.
Yeah.
Revengement. He was Jean-Claude Van Damme's right-hand man in Expendables 2.
Yeah.
The second one. So yeah, that's where I'm at with cast.
Okay. Douglas, what you got, man?
I mean, yeah, I can't really disagree. I mean, 4, just because they did their homework and thought about who they could bring in for action stars, and that haven't been overdone to death, or that are too old to do it and really shouldn't do it anymore, and look really weird as a result. So and they made up for Donnie's age too by giving him the whole blind thing, and he's not going to be running and jumping off of buildings and shit. So yeah, I feel like they casting, yes, what they did with what they did with the characters, that is another story. Not a bad story, but they could have done a lot more. We'll get to that. But as far as the casting goes, no, it was solid.
Okay. All right.
Cowtownakin,
what you got?
Only a
Cowtownakin. I'm sorry.
Botanical Gardens.
No. Botanical Gardens.
E.G.O can't get it right. E.G.O can't get it right. He keeps calling you everything but Cowtownakin.
Yeah, he can't get it right. I don't know what's wrong. I
can't count Cowtownakin. It's like it's sneaking. There's a syllable sneaking in there.
No.
I want to add something in there.
It's not the word. It's not the word. It's you. That's what it is. Okay. So
look. Can we let Cowtownakin please speak?
Cowtownakin. There's no P in it. There's no P in it.
It looks a little.
That's fine.
It looks
in terms of casting, I'm only a Sith deals in absolute, so I'm gonna give it a solid 5 for Megalomaniac.
Wow.
Right?
Okay.
And I'm gonna say that because they kept everybody right. We got Keanu Reeves at the star player. We had Lance Reddick before his passing. Lawrence Fishburne made a return. Ian McShane came back to play Winston. Small role throughout this entire series. He didn't give up on it, right? And then Clancy Brown, right, famous voice actor, has done a whole bunch of voice acting on a number of different shows, from Star Wars to John Wick, you name it, he's probably been in it. And then I also want to call out the new face, right, a name I hadn't heard before, Shamir Anderson as the Tracker, right? His character was central to the story. He was brand new. He had a point. He had a purpose. And they casted him perfectly, where you thought he might kill John Wick a couple different times, and he sold it 100% of being ready to kill John Wick and then moving on to support John Wick. So I'm gonna say Megalomaniac there, 5.
Okay. All right. So I mean, as far as I was concerned, I'd probably give it a 4. I mean, like Justin and I said, I mean, every action star that you'd watch the martial arts movie was in this. I mean, especially when you had Marco Zarrar and you had Scott Adkins. I remember seeing them both in Undisputed 3, and that fighting choreography was some of the best that I've ever seen, going back and forth like that, not knowing who exactly was going to win. Bill Skarsgård did a great job of portraying the Marquis. It was kind of like he was an asshole version of an adjudicator, but still a pompous ass to boot. So it's like they got rid of the adjudicator, who I really wanted to see die in the 4th one for all the shit that she caused in the 3rd one, but they replaced her with Bill Skarsgård, so I'll let that one go. John Wick's character, the titular character with Keanu Reeves, is always going to bring it. I guess the only problem I had casting-wise was the fact that I heard that Donnie Yen, it was his idea to be blind for the movie. And at first they were going to name him Shang, and he was like, why? Because I'm Asian. And I was thinking, it's like, well, if you're an assassin and you're supposed to be surrounded in anonymity and you live in this place with 1 billion peoples, Shang would actually kind of help you to be shrouded in a name that could be considered common for a place with 1 billion peoples. So he wanted to be Kane instead of Shang, but he's blind and has a cane. So it's a little too much on the nose. So I'm like, was he called Kane before or after he gave the table his eyes? Which one was it? And I think between that and the fact that when they asked, who he based the character off of, these like Bruce Lee. So it's like, okay, all right, whatever. But I mean, overall, I'll give it. Yeah, he was like, he based the character on Bruce Lee. I was like, okay, at what point was he blind? And then you got mad at, you didn't want to be an Asian stereotype, but you chose the Asian stereotype.
We got to throw it to our resident black belt. Landon, what do you think about that? Based on Bruce Lee, Donnie Yen, yes. I mean, what do you think?
A lot of Donnie Yen's career has been based on him imitating Bruce Lee. I think based on the E.G.O's research, I think the reasoning is ridiculous. Other than wouldn't it be cool if there was like a blind swordsman assassin character thing who, I mean, he didn't act blind. He only acted blind for about 5 minutes. 5 minutes he had like the doorbell things, and and then for the rest of the movie he was like, you forgot he was blind because he was shooting, he was driving cars.
He's
Somehow he got from one part of the world to the other, and he didn't need anybody to help him to the gate at the plane. They didn't show him like, excuse me, where's my gate? Like, he just knew where everything was because he's
Yeah, they would do weird stuff where he would like arrive and be a little like looking around, like sitting down at the bar, and then he'd sit down at the bar and like grab a beer, pop the top off, grab some fries, eat, just grab everything around him, like
read the newspaper.
Yeah.
He was like Daredevil.
He was pretty
Read the newspaper, talk about the TV show that he just watched, like, and then afterwards he'd be like, "Oh, it's time to go," Oh, that was a little weird.
In terms of that, like, were there any problems you guys had with the casting? Because the only problem I kind of had was Tracker to an extent, because I learned that he was an audience insert. Like, the director had been in another movie with Halle Berry, and so he's like, "Hey, I got a role for you. It's yours if you take it. Be on a plane in 48 hours, and we'll go over it." And so it's like, well, I was told that he was supposed to be in there to say, "Oh, look how cool this is," but it's like,
that's exactly what he did.
Yeah, it's like, but it's the fourth one. We know how cool it is because we saw 1, 2, and 3. We're not expecting anything less in 4. So it seemed like it was unnecessary. So I'm asking you guys, were there any issues with the cast that you guys did have, if any?
Well, like, casting is one thing. Like, are you talking about issues with the character, or just literally?
Yeah, just the characters. The character's presence. You're like, this character is unnecessary, or
okay.
Where's so-and-so in this?
Please, Justin, let me start.
Oh, please, dOGulas, take it away.
It's probably one of the two things on the ride home from this movie that we saw right away was, taking my directions right, was the fact that John Wick is apparently an immortal god, and also the Tracker character who like played well. I can't remember the guy's name that plays him. Like, played well. It's fine. I like it. It's a cool character. I was intrigued. And I was intrigued, like, where is this going? This is an interesting, like, they've thrown in an extra, I forget the term for it, where he's just like into the mix of things. How's it gonna? Because at first it's like, okay, it's definitely gonna come down to John and the Marquis over there, and how's this guy gonna fit in? And that's when it becomes a disappointing part, because he kind of doesn't. At some point, this awesome character that you're following along, that is interacting with John Shamir Anderson. Thank you. That you're following along and interplaying with John Wick, and like goes from wanting to kill him to wanting to defend him, over the nature that brought dogs back into the mix. The trailer makes it look like John Wick has fighting dogs with him. Not so, but we should never trust trailers anymore anyway.
No.
But like, the side character has a dog. The dog gets threatened. The side character decides that, yes, his best friend dog is worth more than $14 million. I don't agree with that. I would take the money, but like, I appreciate that level of character I put in, and I'm all invested in it. And right at the end, he's just basically like, "Watch this fight. It's cool as shit. Bye." And then he just
That's pretty much what happened,
right? And apparently, from my own research, it's because they're going to do spinoffs. They're going to do the TV show spinoff, the Continental. Yeah. And they're going to introduce who Trackers are, and they're going to be this cool character, and that's awesome. That's great. But in this movie that I paid $20 goddamn to watch, and I get a cool character, and it's like to use Cowtownakin, like it's like Darth Maul all over again. Like, this guy's awesome. This guy's great. He's fucking dead. Move on. Like, what the hell? Yeah. Like, that I didn't like. So your mileage may vary on the supporting characters.
Dog, you hit the nail on the head, man. I'm not a fan of the spinoff though. I'm okay with Tracker, right? And if they want to spin off Tracker, I'm cool with that. I'm not okay with what we'll get into, I'm sure later, the post-credit scene with the Kira chick, right? Oh, I'm gonna kill Donnie Yen because he killed my dad. Like for what? Like that served no purpose. I waited around for 15 minutes of trailers for that, and for a spinoff that I'm gonna get on Disney Plus. Like, not cool.
Okay, I give you that. Just nice. Any issues with any of the casting on your part? Anyone that should have been there that wasn't, or
I think we definitely are talking characterization. Yeah, dOGulas and I saw it together, so he covered every issue with Tracker. World building, like Skarsgård, the creepiest of Skarsgård. Magnificent suits. Those Skarsgårds are
Yeah.
tall.
Yeah.
You're not really sure how tall they are until they're standing next to a bunch of actors, and he's just towering over everybody, being creepy.
Yeah, those
And
Viking
then
people are huge.
he's supposed to be he's supposed to be their attack dog. He's so bad. He's so bad. Now, the last time they introduced a character that was mostly politics was in the second one, and they were members of the High Table. They were rich. They were powerful. The guy who tried to get his sister killed, so he has to hire an assassin to do it. Makes sense, right? Even in the first one, the head of the mafia could fight a little bit, right? So when they walked away from tough guy, like major guys who could fight, they told us they were politicians. Essentially, they were aristocrats in control of the table. Then we get to Skarsgård, who magnificent suits. I love the 4-button vests. I just want to dress like that every day. But then it's like, okay, you're going to face John Wick one-on-one. He's supposed to be the baddest dude with the baddest bad dudes, and it turns out he's not. He looks more like a coward who can't fight. So it's like, what did you unleash? You just unleashed a guy who is rich. I thought everyone else was rich.
They just used him as someone who could be their fingers, right? Like, we put one person in charge. He can do whatever he wants. He can break the rules to kill John Wick. I don't think he was presented as this fighter like Donnie Yen, like the first mob boss in the first one, like you said. Even in the second one, right? The whatever his name is, Santino D'Antonio. He was just a member of the table, just freaking rich, and he had a bazillion cronies, right? This guy is just like, hey, you come over here, you're gonna go kill John Wick, like, and that's it. And he didn't have any.
It's like, hey, we need the most deadliest administrator to go administrate his death.
The secretary from hell. Yes, absolutely.
It's like, you forgot to cross your I's and dot your T's, so we're gonna have somebody down in accounts payable to come kick your ass. He could have got a little fight choreography. They could have showed him. They could have showed him at least one or two of those 3 jujitsu moves they used the entire movie, and it was. I would say the problem with characterization in the cast is underuse or misuse. Okay. Like, they had Clancy Brown on there, and he just stood there and used his voice. We're talking about the main antagonist from the original Highlander with Christopher Lambert. He was Kurgan. He's played. Who else? He was the main screw or head guard in Shawshank Redemption, one of the greatest movies ever to be made. He's you got Clancy Brown. He can do more than wear some robes and just talk really, really deep.
It's like they again, for the spoiler alert, like one of the things that the movie does answer is that, like, Winston is John Wick's father. So if you didn't know, that one definitively answers it. However, this dude, Clancy Brown, shows up, and I thought they were building to that he was the Marky Mark's father. Like he was like, and that's why he's like disappointed in him. He's saying, like, did you need that much violence? And disappointed in him. And at the end, he's just like, well, he lost. Okay. Get this dead motherfucker off of these steps. We're going to brunch. And then
he was like HR,
and then he disappears basically. Yeah.
Well, the Harbinger, if you notice, when he first came to the New York Continental before it exploded, his finger was missing. He was given our Doug symbol here, right? It was missing. So, and that was what happened to John Wick, and that's who they expected John Wick to be. But to end it on in the casting on a high note as well is I want to give it up for the actor who played Shimatsu, the Japanese continental owner, right?
Henry Sonata.
Yes, yeah. He did an amazing job. I love seeing his martial arts. I love seeing him mix it up with Donnie Yen at the end there. Just being a badass throughout the whole thing. He's a badass in every movie he's in, and he did not disappoint. I don't know how old he is, but he's not aging. He hasn't aged since The Last Samurai. I don't know what's going on.
And it's gonna kind of bring us to like the plot. I mean,
Here
so
we
we were given a synopsis of the movie, but if we're going 1 to 5 on plot, Douglas, go ahead, man. Take it away. What are we thinking?
I was gonna say, like, by the way, like to people watching this, I mean, this is not. We did not hate. I did not hate this movie. We did not hate. This is a good movie. I really like that they brought it back to basics. I thought John Wick 3 jumped the shark by the time they were in the desert. I was like, what the hell is this? Like, we can end this now. And there are plenty of criticisms, but I like that it got brought back. This felt more like the first film to me than many of the others. So it's not that we didn't like it, but yeah, the plot is just. I brought it up earlier. Honestly, it's like at this point, John Wilkes Booth in this movie. John Wick is a selfish bastard. Like he is literally getting everyone he knows and has by this point, anyone that has ever known him should have fled, like gone to the moon or gone to some. I'm sure the table has some sort of undersea base operation that they can go to. Get the hell away because John Wick will get your ass killed. You know, like it's really irresponsible at this point to want your freedom. You want your freedom so bad that everyone you know will just be brutally mowed down, everything like that. Halfway through John Wick 2, he should have been like, screw this, and just off himself because everyone he knows was getting killed. So it's kind of weird to watch this where I'm just like, man, they really need to address that somehow because he's kind of being a bastard by getting everybody else killed. But even if you can look past that, just, you know, at some point, like I can only suspend my disbelief so much, and I can suspend it pretty high up there. I was suspending it for a lot of this movie and enjoying it despite, you know, things were like, you know, he's getting shot at point blank range and not getting hit. You know, he's able to do some of these feats despite being a lot older now. And Keanu's got that old man kind of run going on there, and I don't think it has to do with anything about being exhausted as a character. No.
He got hit by like 15 cars at one point. How many cars did he get hit by in France?
And for me, and it's funny because Cowtown mentioned there were great scenes buttressed up against bad scenes, weird scenes, and like for me, it was towards the end. That overhead sequence. There's a sequence where everything's shot, I guess, by drone. Overhead, mimicking, you know, I felt like I was watching a live version of Diablo. Actually, if anybody ever played that game, it's like made by Blizzard, the same people as Warcraft. And I was like,
we've never heard of that. We've all got computers. We've never heard of Diablo.
Oh my god, this guy!
Give me a second to think of a name that will mock you properly. I'll come. Don't worry, Cowtownakin. I'll get around to it. That's German. That's German for shut up. I'm talking. I'll take it. Yeah, where was I?
The overhead shot.
Yeah, the overhead shot was, and I'm sure it's been done in other action. I haven't seen as many movies as I used to, but like I'm sure it's been done before. But I just thought it was fucking great. You know, it felt like that. It felt like that game that everyone I played and everyone knows what I talk about. And they picked up their eyes from the floor that rolled off their head after I said, "If you know that game, sorry," but like that was great. And then it immediately follows with he flies out of that building, falls 3 stories, clips a van on the way down, like doesn't land on it, like clips it, and then hits the ground afterwards. And
checks his watch,
and fights his way up 200 stone steps, where he immediately falls down 200 stone steps, and then in what they say is 2 to 3 minutes, but it felt more like 19 minutes. He and Blind
Bruce Lee.
Blind Bruce Lee, there you go.
Yeah, pretty much.
Blind Bruce Lee hobble all the way back up there just in time for some. I'm like my disbelief is suspended to bejesus and back. Like I can't do this. At this point, I'm just like, what is he, a god? Is John Wick 5? He gets hit by a hydrogen bomb and gets flung into the ocean, and then he has to punch whales and and orcas. He has to fight orcas to come back up and to get somewhere in time. Like it was so weird to watch that awesome scene, and then immediately it gets flings into like cartoonish ridiculousness to a degree. However, I thought it really stuck the landing. And I like how it ended. I like that John Wick died. It's enough. We can wrap this one up. It's going to do spin-offs that may or may not succeed. Who knows? But I like that it ended. And I like at the end. I told to Justin Ice at the time. when he's walking down, before he does anything, he takes off his gun holster and just lets it fall, and that's like a pretty clear. It's known as trading in your guns for a coffin. They do that in a lot of westerns. They trade in their guns for a coffin at some point. It's very symbolic to take off your guns and let them fall, and then something happens. So I thought that was fine. And of course, the ending where anybody who didn't pick up on it, they're like, yeah, that's Winston was his father the whole time. So
All right, so so for people that may have missed it, how did you guys get that Winston was his father?
Oh, he goes to John Wick's headstone, and he says in Russian, "Rest, my son." And then if you look at his wrist on the tattoo, it's the emblem from the organization or the family he's from. Yeah, it's that cross that it's conveniently tattooed on his wrist. And he keeps calling him my boy, my son. John Wick's the only one who keeps calling him Winston and believes he's an orphan. So it's almost like for 3 movies they toyed with the idea, and then this one, which the 4th movie, it seems like they wrote an ending for the franchise, and it sounds like the money people came in behind and was like, but we could keep going, we could keep doing more, because the plot issue. The 2nd movie, he wanted his freedom. The 3rd movie, he's like, I just want revenge. And then the 4th movie, he went from revenge to freedom, and I don't remember him saying, they just kind of switched it on us, story-wise. So he's supposed to be taking out the high table, and then somewhere in the process of dialogue, he's like, you can get your freedom, John. And suddenly that became the whole goal, is freedom, as opposed to revenge against the high table. Because he said he was going to take out the whole table. The movie starts with him taking out another member of the table. The 2nd movie had everything to do with killing people in the table. And then suddenly he's like, I just want my freedom. And then, I don't know.
So
I didn't particularly enjoy the idea of, it's like, I want my freedom. And now technically he's free. Metaphorically, he's free. John is free because he's dead. And I'm like,
and so as everyone has ever known.
Yeah. I was here to watch John Wick kill everybody.
And in order to take down the high table, you have to kill every guy that's ever sold you a hot dog in your life. Like anybody.
John, I gave you my kidney. Oh, let me hang out with you. You're probably going to die.
John, what are you here? Yeah, I haven't seen you in so many years. What are you here to drop by and say hello? Who are those guys behind you? End scene.
Your goddaughter's upstairs.
Based on the convoluted plot structure, what would you give that from 1 to 5 egos then?
I'm gonna have to go 2.5 egos.
That's fair.
On the plot story.
I'll say 3. I'll say 3 egos. In the end, I still enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Only a Sith deals in absolutes. I'm gonna say 5.
Wow.
Plot? Go ahead, hardcore fan. You tell us what you saw.
Gonna say 5.
There are all right, explain how this movie was perfect in every single.
I didn't say perfect. I didn't say
gave it a 5.
I got 2 more rankings. I didn't say perfect. Okay. So 1, there's 2 plots here. There's plot of John Wick 1 through 4, and there's plot of John Wick 4. Okay. If I look at the plot of John Wick 4, right? The plot is fine. He's trying to kill the table. He discovers he's never going to win because the table has unlimited resources. For God's sakes, they blew up a building and got away with it, right? They can just do whatever they want. They can hire another Merovingian, Marquis, that they can bring into the situation whenever they want, okay? So he can't.
There are a few more Skarsgård brothers out there.
Right. We can get the Skarsgård brothers in there. We can get the Markson brothers in there.
Hollywood knows that.
Let's get the Hemsworths in there. They can be part of the table, right? We got 2 or 3 of those, right? So let's get them all in there. So then they're like, okay, shift. You can't kill everybody, right? Which is what we were expecting. We're going to do a duel to the death. And you got to make it to this duel to the death with this guy trying to kill you all the way there. Oh, and by the way, we hired this cool black guy from the audience who's got a dog, and he's going to come kill you too. Right. So I think that has enough twists and turns for me to give John Wick 4 by itself a 5 on the plot. And then if you look at John Wick 4, 1 through 4, right? Very briefly here.
Okay.
I'm not gonna drag on. But 1 through 4, it starts with the dude who had gotten out and got sucked back in because some dude killed his dog.
Let's talk about pacing of the end of the movie. What did you guys think in terms of, between action sequence to dialogue and back again? For a movie that was 2 hours and 45 minutes, how did you all deem the whole pacing of it all?
3 hours of the same 3 jujitsu moves.
You are not. I
And
knew
a
you were not
bunch
going to
of
let that
guns.
slide. I knew you were not going to let that slide. I knew the minute he did when he jumped and did this second, I was like, he gonna be so mad.
How many times you gonna fall? Do a falling or leaping arm bar, and reload your gun and then shoot people. It's like I didn't know magazines had 175 bullets. It was bad when old westerns would have like 6 shooters that would just keep shooting, and then he would sit there, put somebody in a chokehold or have him in like a rest hold, and then switch his clip out, and then jujitsu roll, shoot, jujitsu, shoot. I've learned so much about leaping arm bars. You know what I mean? And then reloading my gun while I do it. So jujitsu. The only person who did something that wasn't jujitsu was, I'm sorry, Donnie Yen didn't do a ton of jujitsu. He did his best version of blind Bruce Lee, and then Scott Adkins hit him with the Taekwondo roundhouse kick. So, and Henry Sonata is straight up samurai everybody.
Yeah.
Which I don't understand about the Osaka. Like, why did the Osaka branch suddenly decide to become like, I don't know, feudal in a fight while everybody else was carrying automatic machine guns? They were like, grab the bows and arrows and the swords. We don't have modern technology here.
I mean, swords never run out of bullets.
Yeah, but bullets are bullets.
You're typically not equipped with the 45 tiny little swords that you can throw at people that would explode their head when they hit. It's a close range weapon. That's the problem with it. I just wonder how Keanu managed to memorize all that dialogue.
Keanu did have a lot more dialogue in this movie compared to the other one. It was one-liners all throughout 1, 2, and part of 3, right? Limited conversations in 3. But this one, he was straight up, yeah, I'm gonna.
It doesn't surprise me one bit why he loves making these movies, because he gets the script and it's on a Post-it note and he's like, all right.
Wait, so
and if they do the prequel, he can say something just like when he puts his wife to bed and be like, I'm going to kill cancer, and then they can have cancer.
Keanu looked tired pushing 60 and getting his jiu-jitsu on. He was definitely slower.
So what would you give the pacing then for you for just the 3 same jiu-jitsu moves and mag reloading? What would you say it was?
For each jiu-jitsu move used, I'm gonna give him an ego. 3 egos.
dOGulas,
Cowtown napkin, cow napkin, tapkin, cow tap rapper. What you got?
Cow rapper the rapper.
There you go. Yep. Oh yeah.
Crash Bandicoot. Mario Brothers came out today, I think.
Oh.
Yeah. This laugh was brought to you.
I'm actually interested in that.
Yeah.
So for me, pacing is where it fails, right? Pacing was a little weird. I did not know the movie was 2 hours and 45 minutes, 75 minutes, whatever you said it was. Almost 3 hours. I did not realize it was that long when I went to go see it. I was expecting a 2-hour movie, and it was a lot longer than that. So the pacing, to me, they put too much movie, even though it was almost 3 hours, right? It was a lot. We went from the desert. We went from the desert to the streets of New York, back from the streets of New York to Osaka, from Osaka to some random club in Belarus, and then from the random club in Belarus back to Paris. We hang out in Paris for a little bit. We go down to the underworld. We come back up from the underworld, and we kill people with exploding bullets like it's Gears of War.
Awesome.
And
I am Klaus.
Yeah, and then we're gonna go up the stairs and down the stairs and up the stairs and down the stairs. Oh wait, let's go up one more time with swords this time, right? So oh wait, and then we gotta have the duel before sunrise and close out the movie back in New York. So like That's a lot of hops.
Little known fact: it actually takes 8 hours for the sun to rise. It's an extremely long process that actually starts right around 2 in the morning. If you can put enough time aside to watch it, you have enough time to get into a duel, to go upstairs and then downstairs and then ride underneath the streets of Paris, listen to the radio for a little bit, get hit with a nuclear missile, shrek it off.
Don't forget your dentist appointment.
Yeah, wear a Kevlar suit and then survive a tiger attack, and then
get hit by 6 cars. Yeah, it's all.
Get over dysentery from the taco meat you ate last night.
I'm gonna give it 2 egos. I'm gonna be one less. Pacing is where the movie failed a bit. I'm happy to see more John Wick. I'll sit and watch it for another 3 hours. I still love the movie, but the pacing was, it's a lot, right? You lost track of where you were and how you got there, right? So.
That's fair. I will give you that. I would say it's probably a 3 in terms of the pacing, because when it was action, it was dialed up. But when it was dialogue, you're like, okay, well, some of this dialogue isn't making sense. And then every time he's on a train, he either was about to get on a fight or he's finishing a fight. But it's like, how the hell did you get from New York to Japan and nobody noticed? How do we not have one airplane fight scene out of all that? Or at least traveling by boat, you have a fight with somebody in a freighter. I don't know how
in
you
that
went
suit he can swim.
It's an inflatable suit. That's probably what it is. Okay,
he's
got a
Aquaman
jetpack on
in
it.
That suit. He can't drown.
Pretty much. He's water Jesus or something. Because
he's like the Wonder Twins who just activates suit power.
He must have. I mean, I know if they did a video on it. They actually made this suit from Kevlar. It can stop a 9mm, but I mean, like, you're not stopping a shotgun blast with that kind of a suit.
In this movie, when he took it off at the end, I love that the shells were falling out as he was taking stuff off. I thought that was a great touch. But in this movie, he should have removed the vest and a fucking brick just dropped out on the floor.
I think that was there. Like, I'm glad you brought that up, Doug. That was the movie attempting to make fun of itself for the stair scene, right? When they both took off their jackets and you just hear change falling out of their pockets because all the shells are falling. That was them being like, yeah, we know that was freaking ridiculous, but thanks for sticking with us to the end. That's what that was.
All right. So, I mean, I guess that brings it to the next to last thing, which was just the action factor. What do you guys think about, when it was time to have an action sequence? What do you guys think in terms of 1 to 5 egos there?
Only a Sith deals in absolutes. Oh, wow. 5, right? I'm gonna go back to the 5 for the action factor. Whether it's him using nunchucks as a baseball bat, whether it's jumping right into the action. We didn't have a whole lot of long.
I did like the nunchucks
moments. Yeah, right. Like, he was proficient, right? He wasn't an expert. And he didn't try to be an expert. He's like, I just know how to use these, and I'm going to beat the shit out of you with them, right? And that's what John Wick's about, right? So action factor was good. Johnny Yen's scenes, I think, were amazing. I know he's the worst blind man on the planet, the worst blind Bruce Lee. Like, get it? But
he's the best Daredevil.
Daredevil, Bruce Lee combined in one, right? Fusion Ha. Let's get the Dragon Ball Z.
Daredevil. I want to see the Kung Fu Daredevil movie.
Let's get those mixed in. But yeah, Donnie Yen's scenes were great with the Chinese sword. Keep me honest there, Lennon. But yeah, Chinese sword stuff, and he was making it work from there. The gunplay was still good. The reload play was still good. I'm gonna contradict you guys on the whole unlimited bullets, right? I was counting magazine shots, and he never went over 15, right?
Hold up, bro. Even with the Pit Viper,
he
had more than 15.
Because with the Pit Viper, if you watch that overhead scene, he's picking up ammo along the way from all the people that have
the gun.
Time for a replay.
$7,000, bro. It's only gonna come with one magazine. Maybe
it comes with 1, and he picked up at least 3 magazines in that.
There weren't 3 Pit Vipers though, and I'm not sure it's that compatible. I gotta look that up and see if it's just like a Glock clone or something like that. Because
remember, they set that scene up with everybody prepping to go kill him with their Death Watch radio show, right? When they were prepping it up, right? They had people with the exploding rounds, and so they had a whole group of people with these freaking guns that were going to blow him
warrior
up.
Scene.
Yeah, so he was picking those up during the scene, and I was watching. I'm like, you only get like 2-3 shots with that thing, and you're done. And he kept picking up rounds from all those people. So I'm still cool with it. I think the action play was good. I'm gonna go 5 again.
I'm gonna go next just because my food is almost here. I gotta give it 3.5. I gotta give it 3.5 egos. I was entertained and I liked it, but and in the end, the entertainment won out, which is good. That's what I want from a movie. But I would almost do two, and I would almost do two, like right in half, just because, like I said, for every cool thing, there was something like eye rolling ridiculous. But then again, I'm like, okay, you're a John Wick movie, like, okay, have fun. It's supposed to be ridiculous, like don't get too like snooty about it. And then we're like, oh, okay, I can enjoy it. But then there would always just be something where like some guy is standing there with a gun this close and like it misses or something like that, or it fires and nothing happens, and Keanu's just like, oh, and just just kills him. I'm trying to remember some of the things. Like I like the nunchucks. I like the nunchuck scene. I like the overhead. I hated I hated the stairs. But also just like just I don't know. It was a lot. It was a lot of fighting, and because of that, the movie wound up being. Oh, 1 second.
Okay.
We'll be right back, folks.
Okay. All right.
I'll pick up here. I'll jump in for the dOGulas. Well, not for the dOGulas. And I love the nunchucks. Thank you, Cowtownakin, for bringing that up. That actually surprised me. The nunchuck scene. I was feeling the nunchuck scene. Beyond that, I wanted to see more. I didn't see enough. I don't know. It's like I've watched many a Donnie Yen film. The man can break dance. That's one of his first major films. He's like breakdancing. His martial arts skills on just another level, and I didn't see a lot. I never remember the name of the Latino gentleman who was like the main
Zamora, Marco
like
Zamora, I think.
I know what he can do. I've seen him do incredible things, and it's just like dirty boxing. Scott Adkins, I get it. You need to really show off that you're a character actor. He's really trying to come out of the darkness. Watched his career, listened to some of his interviews. He's trying hard to make it. They should have picked him to be the new Batman. But they went with Affleck, which he didn't do a bad job. And so I understand Scott Adkins wants to really show that he can act and he can perform and everything else. But I know what he can do, and this is an action movie. I would love to have seen more of that. I can't deal with now. One thing I can't remember. I can't just get over is when him and Scott Adkins are going at it. Keanu and Scott Adkins. They're in the German club. That dancing was so on purpose and horrendous. Like it didn't. It clearly looked like acting extras, and somebody told them. It wasn't like they played music and they're like, all right, everybody dance. And like, you're in a club and dance. It's like they went out and found people who did specifically well choreographed or whatever for dancing in clubs. And it just looked horrible.
Yeah,
they did hire those people for that specific purpose. You're right.
They're sitting there voguing.
They did a better job with that in John Wick 2 when they had the fight.
Yes,
they had a fight scene there, and at least the people were like moving out of the way, like, oh shit, something's happening. No, they didn't care that bullets were flying right past their head, knives were going out, nothing.
Also, everyone in that German club looked like majority of those dancers were 40-year-old, 45-year-old men, and not like people who would go to a club. So I don't know what kind of club that is. It's like, what is a 40 and over club? I'm not, and me and the dOGulas could be allowed, but you two are not. So action-wise, I think. I mean, I can't give it a high ego count. I can't. It's hard to watch something and say you could have done, and know they could have done more, and they didn't, and still be satisfied with it. I mean, nunchucks alone gets it. Will boost my 2 egos to 3. I'm gonna give it 3. I'm gonna open the third eye of the ego, and I'm gonna give it a third one, purely for nunchuck scene. Nunchuck scene was great. I am a fan of the nunchucks. Michelangelo, cowabunga, dude. Nunchucks.
Yeah, and I want to give one more action. I want to throw it to Dog too to finish his thought as well. But I want to shout out Rina Sawayama. I'm butchering that last name. Sawayama. is the better pronunciation of it. I want to shout out her action scenes as well, right? This was Akira, the daughter of the Continental owner. She busted out too, right? She made the point that Dog was talking about. Like, I didn't even catch it until she said it, is that John Wick is getting everybody killed. She made that point very clear with the death of her father, with her stupid vengeance scene after the end of the credits, right? But she did a great job with her action scene. She threw down a little bit.
That the writers knew it was happening, were aware that John Wick is becoming the most brutal killer of all time just by being somewhere,
just by association.
Kept going.
Yeah, they leaned all the way into it, and I can never be mad. It's the same reason I give the plot a 5. They leaned all the way into what they knew what they were doing when they hit him with the 5th car and the semi truck. Okay, they knew. They're like, yeah, okay, we're over the top. We're not gonna stop. We're gonna let's get the dog hit by a car too. This dog's invincible, right? Because he got hit by a car as well. Got right up. We playing some more. Let's go.
They need that cat that does drop kicks from those viral videos where he drop kicks the dog.
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
Cat Wick.
And to be clear, right, the dog is the reason that John Wick is alive. They came full circle. The dog started this journey, and the dog is the reason that John Wick is still alive because Black Dude had him dead to rights.
I just didn't need him drinking a beer like, great job, John Wick, and then shedding tears and whatnot. It's like... He's like, he cracks open a beer, sheds a tear, and he's like, good job, John Wick. And it's like, it is. They don't have to tell us that he's supposed to be the audience in the movie because he was. So much of it was just way too much style over substance. Yeah. It was so much like, don't you guys like John Wick? It's so cool. And it's like, we know it's cool.
For the 4th one, we paid $20. We're sitting here at the 4th one. Yeah, we do.
We know, right?
Nobody needs to reach around. Nobody needs to reach around.
Fair.
And to finish my point, the only thing I had to say was that basically what it got 3.5 because as much as I liked most of the action or a lot of the action, and it was good, it was just it was too much of it because the movie was too long, which we've already established. Like, I think everyone agrees, like it's good. But it's still too long, and it's not too long because there's an extended, quiet scene of internal monologue that Keanu was doing. Like, no, it's too long because there is just fighting, and they definitely could and should have scaled it back just a little bit.
It suffers from the Star Wars, the rebirth of Star Wars after the original 3, when they brought in the prequels and later on. One of the old criticisms from like the second movie, the second remake with Hayden Christensen, episode 2, is too many lightsabers. Yeah. Too many lightsabers. We like lightsabers. We liked lightsabers from the original 3, but suddenly we go from occasionally popping up, occasionally, and then you're really excited about the big fight scene between Luke and Darth with the lightsabers to part 2 where there's like a sea of lightsabers. There are even people
army of Jedi with lightsabers. Yeah.
And then and for me it's always going to be hard for Justin Ice in his life as the God Fist to watch people do Chinese broadsword with lightsabers. It's like you just burned your entire spinal column rotating that blade around your back. It's like too much sweetness or in a drink. Eventually you can't taste it anymore.
That's you guys. I'm not for that. I like too much sweet stuff.
Yeah, we know that. Yeah, you are definitely Kool-Aid with a side of sugar.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Sugar with a side of Kool-Aid.
Give me the skinniest diabetic I ever met if that happens to you, bro. I'll be so mad. Just
don't be jealous. Don't be jealous. I've had my glass of water for the day. I'm good. I'm fine.
His blood is ketchup and sugar.
Okay, we beat up on enough. Leave tough acting Cowtownakin alone.
Damn.
That's the win. You got it.
I thought about that one on the way down to get the food.
That was well played. Well played.
That was nice. But I mean, for me, I would say as far as the action factor, I would say it's a solid 4. I mean, all the guns they introduced, I was really waiting to see those. They actually fixed a problem that he had in John Wick 2 when he had the Benelli because he kept having to load it And it's like, well, if you just had a shotgun that took a magazine, you'd have this taken care of. And so in this one, the Dragon's Breath literally was one that was magazine fed. So you don't have to sit there and quad load, like put 4 rounds in the shotgun when you just put a magazine in there and just keep going. To what Doug's point was, it was like at a certain point, the action was good. It was so much and so intricate, and it kept going and going. You just kind of let it glaze over certain scenes. You would just wait for one cool thing to happen. But if you had fewer scenes like that, you would say, oh, look at how intricate this whole scene is. But you don't have time to do that because, oh, he killed that bad guy, but there's a bad guy behind him. There's a bad guy around the corner. Then he has to go over here and get this one. And so you almost get drowned in all the action. But I mean, it doesn't change the fact that, for the scenes that they did put on, they went as over the top as they could. So I'll have to say overall, it was 4 egos based on that.
Yeah.
So I'll say this one's going to be interesting because I want to hear you all's points. I really want to hear what you guys think about this because I want to know what's something you could do in John Wick 4 that you would say fixes the movie for you and has it end on a better note. Whoever wants to go first.
He kills he kills the people of the he takes out the high table, like dismantles the underworld. If they wanted to do spin-offs, they could have shown, I think dOGulas and I talked about it, maybe you and me and E.G.O talked about it. They could have world expanded by saying, okay, this highly organized underworld, there's another, they work opposite or is some kind of their presence is valuable because there's another world, and he takes out the high table, and now there's this new or this unknown element that is now left unguarded or unchecked because the underworld kept them in check. That's sort of like the difference between criminals and those who enforce the law, that there's kind of this balancing act that keep each other going. I would say I would have liked to have seen him take out the high table. If you're gonna go over the top, then go over the top. Every time you say magazine, all I think about is GQ and those things you find in a doctor's office. So I may not have been as excited to see so many guns. This is probably just me being tunnel focused. I wanted to see more various martial arts instead of the same 3 jujitsu moves.
Yep.
Yeah. There's like 1 million guns. Cool. Everybody's this athlete. Great. But if we're gonna, it's like, maybe somebody might say, well, it's a more realistic fight. Well, that's how fighting really is. It's like, yeah, but bullets don't bounce off of cloth, and you don't take shots to the face. And there's a ton of things about this movie that don't make any real world sense. So I don't need the fist fighting to be that way. I feel like John Wick 3, they explored new avenues with Mark Dacascos as the ninja with these 2 Salat masters. Fight scene at the end. I feel like in the second one, they really pushed the limits of trying to bring us more martial arts action. I mean, that seems to be a big part of his character, is the guns and the martial arts and everything else. So I wanted more jump kicks.
I'm gonna disagree with you on the martial arts. The things I would say to fix John Wick 4, right? I gave.
Man, never disagrees.
No, I never do. I'm the most agreeable motherfucker you'll ever meet.
This is Cow Devil's advocate to get in the kid.
Yeah, exactly.
Advocate to
correct the pacing, I would delete and vastly shorten his transition from the underworld to the steps. Okay, I get the step scene. They want to put that in, like, funny. Go up the stairs, go down the stairs, go up the stairs, go down the stairs.
Wile E. Coyote.
You didn't need that, right? You didn't need that. I like the little car scene where he got hit by the 12 cars, but again, not really necessary. Completely not realistic. People would have stopped traffic a long time ago when they saw that shit going down. No one stops, and they're still flying around at 30 miles an hour in this circle that people routinely go 5 miles an hour in Paris just to see the sights. So
but according to John Wick 2 and 3, everyone's an assassin.
Right.
That's true.
Assassins.
That's true. But
That
none of
speaks
the
to the
assassins came
entire-
out of the cars.
That speaks to the entire. I mean, that's my. If I think about it, really, it would be great if they just tightened everything up. And I mean everything. There is so much excess in this movie that if they just tightened everything up, I can overlook some of the things like only 3 jujitsu moves. I can overlook the fact that the different types of guns that I have no idea the models for and I don't care about. Like, just want to see people die. Like I can overlook that if they could just tighten it back up, but it's just they had just too much of everything, and so much that in fact that it has a definitive ending, and then like the next day the studios are like, but was it? You know it was. He fucking died. Like it was.
Yeah.
He took his last breath.
Yeah, it's the ending, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and I mean, I wanted to see the gunplay. LJ, you were saying that you didn't like the fact that they didn't do the same gunplay work that you saw in John Wick 2 and stuff like that. You like the magazine. I like the gunplay.
I said they improved on it. I did. It's just the fact that that one scene, the overhead scene, it had to be Dragon's Breath so you could tell who he was. Because everyone's wearing black and it's overhead. Yeah, so you're like, oh, okay, the guy shooting the one where it lights up. Okay, that's John Wick. That's the guy we're following. But I mean, he could have just as easily had a tack light or like a light on his gun and flashed it and then bang, bang, bang when he kept moving. So, I like the gunplay. But go ahead, continue, man. Go ahead.
Also, the CGI fire was. I remember Justin Ice, and we were talking to our friend the Damaduce, the multiculti, who is not here today because he would pervert people just by watching this video, and this goes out to a much wider audience than he's allowed within 50 yards of.
Restraining.
I would love to hear. I would love to have had the multiculti here today.
Yeah, he will be on eventually, I'm sure.
Oh, definitely.
But yeah, we were just. I kept looking at it. And it was just like, look at that fire, and it was like this huge budget movie, and all this stuff like that, and it's like the worst fire gif, just sitting on top of somebody that's like face to back.
But we've been for the years of the rise of CGI, we've been complaining about the gradual influx of CGI and the elimination of practical effects. Even the Dragon Lord himself, the indomitable 8 Dragon, he when we would watch we would watch our Japanese action movies, and he's like, he hates the CGI blood.
Yeah.
And it's like, true, there was just more and more CGI. Now it's like CGI fire. And it's like, come on, like, it's looking computer generated.
I mean, they just fell in love with CGI water, and they're trying to make it CGI water. It's the only thing that looks real, is CGI water. And it's not necessary at this point for fire. It's not necessary at this point for blood, right? Practical effects have their place, and I think they need to make a comeback. It's retro now.
And this is from the Marvel, man. Everything's green screen in Marvel and DC. All the superhero
effects have made such a resurgence, and I think it's great that they have. It's weird now that I see something CGI where it's just like, really? Something CGI, something crazy. But when it's just like, they've been lighting stunt fires on people for decades, for 50, 60, 70 years now. I really don't think it's like some movement in Hollywood to be like, we need to stop these dangerous fire scenes. Like, it's just a little tough to fire or something like that.
Yeah. And I mean, one of the things that Marvel does so well with it is they merge CGI effects with practical effects, right? This suit right behind me that you see, Robert Downey Jr. typically has on half of a suit when he's in that costume, which is why there's a real aspect to it. And they'll CGI the lights, or they'll CGI his legs, right, for a 10-second scene. So it's not as built in, right? Captain America's shield is never CGI, right, for the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's always moving, right, and that's why it looks good, right? Same with Thor's hammer. But you CGI the lightning. Does that freaking make sense, right? You got to blend it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that'll pretty much take us out, guys. Thanks for joining us for our review of John Wick 4. We'll probably have the network, aka the Philly crew, come back at some point again to review something else.
We will ruin all sorts of things that you love. Go ahead, give us topics.
We need the multiculti.
Bad things happen in Philadelphia. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
We need the multiculti. We need the eternal one, the master of the 8 dragons.
Yes. Right. We need to do something with all this water that I've hoarded. I have no idea what to do with it now.
We're just gonna have one day. It's gonna be crew vision. Okay, we're just gonna come in all of us at one point, and it's just gonna be a big thing. All right, guys, but I got
capital T the Ted. So I gotta give everybody the shout out. The Master of
Lemmy.
Darkness, the Green Demon, and lastly, Brother Minister himself.
Brother Johnson.
Ooh, Brother Johnson. But anyway.
All right, that's good, man. That's right. You got to shout out the rest of the crew, guys. We
I
rolled
don't
10
want to see
deep.
him
So.
shine, but he sure looks shiny to me.
Ridiculous.
He doesn't shine, he glistens. It's different.
How ridiculous. Guys, for Justin Ice, dOGulas, and Cowtownakin.
Cowtownakin.
You get it right on the sign now.
Tough acting.
Yeah.
Cowtownakin.
Acting, couch, and acting. Can
E.G.O out.